Now, an hour of clarity for exhausted people of our nation mired in toxic partisanship. Left versus right, us versus them. While we pay to keep our politicians fighting, how do we, the people, rise up and solve the great challenges of our time? We do it by embracing freedom and liberty. There may be no such thing as a free lunch, but this hour is as close as it gets. Welcome to A Free Solution.
All right, guys, it's Friday, November 12th, and guess what? It's my birthday. Welcome to A Free Solution. This goes out over the air on WACK and WYSL, and guys, we appreciate them exploring libertarian philosophy and libertarian discussion with us, with you. And I've been talking about it a lot lately. This is a rare and unique opportunity. I'm glad to be a part of it. Joining me today, and I'm mixing things up because Kevin normally rolls the intro. You guys know that. But joining me today, Kevin Wilson. How are you, Kevin?
Fantastic.
What's going on in your world, brother?
Oh, you know, living the dream, living the dream.
All right, running the show. So look, yesterday I pre-recorded a show for yesterday, which is going to get confusing because we're pre-recording this show, guys. Don't call in, even though I promised on my recorded show yesterday that you could call in, but don't call in today. I forgot, in a sense, because I wasn't recording the show, that it was, in fact, Veterans Day. And I have some veterans in my life that I want to thank them for their service. And I want to present one possible conundrum that people may face. It's a conundrum that I face. So I want to thank my grandfather, Carlo Lanza, who served in World War II, my uncle, Carlo Lanza, who served in Vietnam, and he was a CB, and he went to Antarctica as all part of this Vietnam effort, which is weird, right? Somehow we had to go to Vietnam to build things in Antarctica to solve problems in Vietnam. So these things get a little complicated. One of the guys I work with is a paratrooper from the 82nd Airborne, Joe Keto. He dedicated military guy. I've got a buddy named Brian Campbell. That guy, Robert Force, that you've heard me talk about, he served in two branches of the military, re-signed up in around 9/11. I mean, people dedicate their lives to defending the ideals, the liberty, and the beauty that this country has to offer, and the economic system that this country has to offer. So I get into these libertarian conundrums, and I want to talk to people about them. And so I'm going to dump one on you, Kevin. I can't stand our imperialistic wars. I can't stand us bombing kids overseas, but families and friends and my family itself, I honor, respect, and admire their dedication to providing clowns like me freedom, right? Like I can't thank them enough. Yet I don't want any more wars fought on anybody's behalf unless we're defending ourselves or stopping a genocide. And that's it, man. That's it. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't think there's anything, any contradiction there, right? Like, a country that is free and peaceful, like we should not go and get in these unnecessary wars. We should work to make sure that like our families don't have to fight these things, and then we can also respect like the hard work and sacrifice that went into this. Again, my father served for 20 years in the Navy. I get it. I grew up like literally being able to look at a military base in my backyard. Grew up in that culture. Understood some of the sacrifice, and later on I appreciate it more. Like my dad having to spend months away at sea, away from me and my brother. And now that I have a son, I understand how hard that must have been for him. But yeah, I think we can respect and appreciate the service that people gave, and then also say, hey, we don't like what went on with the decisions that our political leaders make to get us involved in unnecessary wars too.
Yeah, I agree. Like I guess I talked to Shane Hazel. I don't know. He's the guy that ran for governor of Georgia, and we did a little live session together on Facebook. And he tells the stories of like kicking down doors and fighting his way through Ramadi to get to like Khalid Sheikh Mohammed or some other big name. Like I can't remember the exact big names of but only to be stopped at the doorstep and to allow these people to just wander off into the darkness when some politician in Washington comes back and says, "Hey, let's not finish this mission right now. Let's finish it later." And it feels deliberate. I think Shane suffered from that kind of stuff, that going through that kind of stress, and then to not be able to finish the job, and at behest of some political machination, some political figure in Washington issuing the final order.
Right. Yeah. And I imagine if you're in a situation where like, all right, we just want to like wrap this up, we want to move ahead with this, and not being able to see the full picture, that could be incredibly frustrating. And, just Veterans Day, I always say, like, first of all, listen to Larry Sharp's thoughts on this, our Tuesday host, because he always has interesting thoughts about this. And he always says, uh, I'm glad you made it home is the thing that he always says, if people are like uncomfortable with saying like thank you for your service, because they're uncomfortable with like the whole like the wars that people have fought, right? And a lot of times there's some veterans who are like, I don't like what I did in Iraq, or some people do, some they feel like they're doing good, and some people don't. And so his thing, I remember him saying is glad you made it home.
Yeah, and Larry Sharp, as a Marine, right?
Yep.
Was a Marine.
Marine.
Is another guy we get to thank for his service. And Larry Sharp, Shane Hazel, they've come full circle, right? They don't want foreign intervention. They don't want interventionist wars. They don't want drone use to patrol, territory that doesn't even belong to us. They want none of those things. And I think that sends a powerful message, and should send a powerful message, and will send, if we elect these guys, a very powerful message.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So yeah, and just the other thing to keep in mind for Veterans Day too is like the folks who did make it home, making sure that like if the U.S. government's going to promise to take care of you, they ought to deliver on that.
Oh my God, yeah,
And I know
sorry. Yep, that's
that's
another one.
so that's the the political issue I always think of on Veterans Day. It's like just making sure that like, all right, if we said like, hey, you go and put your life on the line, and you're gonna make sure that like you're taken care of afterwards, like gosh darn it, they better do it. And it doesn't always have to be through the VA either. There are different ways to take care of like our veterans that don't necessarily run through like that bureaucratic system.
I agree. Like Trump kind of opened up the door for veterans to go to regular hospitals. They didn't, and still be able to use their VA benefits. I think that's at least a step in the right direction, don't you think?
No, I do think it's a step in the right direction. Like again, like it doesn't all have to run through that system, and that's one of the reforms that like I was happy that Trump was pushing for, is that like there are lots of professionals out there, and it doesn't necessarily need to run through the Veterans Affairs system. It can there are other folks out there who are perfectly qualified, and maybe these folks are more comfortable with outside of that.
So, Kevin, you'll get a kick out of this, maybe. I don't know. I always been a skeptic of these big government things, right? So this whole John Durham investigation to, finally net some real actionable material on, yada yada yada, blah blah blah. I was making fun of it for months now, for practically since, well, before the election. I'm telling my conservative friends, you're getting nothing from the guy. Don't even. So lo and behold, I have concluded to let it fade into the obscurity of my memory, which is like my memory's going bad. So, but here he is now. He's out. He's releasing information, and he's making arrests. So I had to eat a little crow on that, and I want everybody to be clear. I'm comfortable eating crow on that. This Igor Danchenko guy actually got arrested for his participation in creating the Steele dossier. Where did you come down on that stuff, bud?
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of with you. I was like, it's probably ain't going anywhere, right? Like, I don't know if it's for the same reasons, but I was like, like no one's gonna care enough to pursue it. But no, it looks like there might be some consequences for some people. And then as you and I were talking about when we were preparing for this show, it's like if the groups like the FBI and the NSA are like getting involved in like letting their judgment slip because they're making assumptions about a political candidate, that's a very dangerous game to play. It's incredibly dangerous to have them start to get involved in our elections. And this way they did, and hopefully everyone who crossed the line there from improper use of surveillance to the Steele dossier does get held accountable for this. And it's not a political thing. That's a constitutional, republic thing. All right. So we're running out of time though for this segment. So thanks again for joining us here on A Free Solution. Appreciate y'all being here. Happy Fake News Friday. We'll be back in just a few here on A Free Solution. All right. In this segment, we'll cut this in this thing that we sent to the radio.
Okay.
I might not cut this for the online.
I know it's bonus content for the
Bonus
people that
content for
watch
you guys
online.
listening online. I'm waiting to get to a nice even number so that I can keep track of how long the next segment needs to be.
You know, that's such a great idea because I do nothing like that. I go for about approximately 10 minutes, then I cut myself off, and then I'm like, you should see. You saw me. You helped me edit my first show. I haven't gotten drastically better at it. I'm just like, hope Bob doesn't shoot me this time. Like I know Bob calls me with suggestions, and I appreciate them all. And I know it's like something my skills, production skills are not that good. I completely understand where
he's
he's coming
managed
from.
to mostly tolerate us
Yes.
so far, right? Like,
We're libertarian in our production capabilities or something. I don't know.
well, luckily, like there's a few good things that I've gotten out. So one, like, is having a sense of like how long I've been talking for. So, like when I'm pre-recording shows, I'm like, all right, I forgot to put that timer going. I'm pretty sure I've been talking like about 8 minutes. And so
I've been there so bad. Oh, I've been there. I had to with that Audacity program. I had to add like 35 seconds one day because it was so short that I knew it was going to be an unusable segment unless I fixed it. It was just, and so I'm sure it came out great. I'm sure
it's fine.
Great.
All right, so we'll come back in 20 seconds. So at the 12-minute mark, and all this stuff's gonna stay in because I don't feel like editing.
No, don't edit it. People love us, man.
All right. So at the 12-minute mark, I'll do the introduction, and then we'll have our 12-minute segment.
All right.
Let's go. All right. Welcome back to A Free Solution. I'm Kevin Wilson, your host for today, joined by Tim O'Connor. And
I'm here.
Yeah. Thank you all for listening today, wherever you're listening, on WYSL, on WACK out in Newark, or if you're listening online and getting that bonus content by listening online too. Radioland, you guys missed a couple seconds there. We're just giving some unedited stuff. So make sure you follow us on A Free Solution on Facebook and A Free Solution on YouTube, so you can get that nice little 2-minute clip of bonus content. Totally worth it, guys. Totally worth it. All right, so a couple other topics that we want to talk about. Do we want to talk about the Kyle Rittenhouse stuff now? The trial.
Sure. Let's talk about it. I'm going to talk about that whole summer of violence and people rioting everywhere, and a 17-year-old. I don't know what his motives were, but now he's on trial for murder, and I mean, for me, from what I saw, there's an issue of self-defense that's worth discussing. I certainly don't crucify anybody, man. I'm still not convinced that OJ did it, and I know the rest of the world is just like, you're crazy, Tim. That guy's a killer. That's it. Okay, I get it. All right.
He was at the Bills game the other day.
What's that?
He was at the Bills game the other day. He was just hanging out.
See,
a lot of our people there still fine. His name is still up, on the stadium and everything too. And I mean, that's not what this is about, but
right.
Yeah. So I mean, with this whole thing, all right. So I'm definitely not in the camp like this kid's a hero, whatever. Like that's
sure.
I don't think that. I don't also think that like this kid is super racist and this is a white supremacy on trial. Like that like both extremes of this have lost their dang minds on it. My evaluation of this situation is like everyone involved was very stupid. Like this was like a bad idea. And again, it's not. We'll walk back. Like again, what's happening? Summer violence. There's some people who are protesting police issues, and then some people who are being morons and burning down stores and looting and taking advantage of chaotic situations to hurt people. And then you had some folks who would like go and protect stores. And that I know. I get that is a good thing to do. The thing that I think was dumb about this situation is you have a young man, a minor who is in a situation that is dangerous, that is tense, where people are acting like aggressively around you, and he has a weapon. And again, he didn't take it over state lines. He was from out of state, but he had an AR-15 there. If you are ever in a situation where like you decide that you and some guys are going to like protect some property somewhere, right? Like you're going to protect like the car lot, like what that was. You do not put the young kid out there where he can be interacting with people with a loaded gun. Like it's just he's not. I mean, like it doesn't matter how much he's done. Like he's not the guy to put out there.
Yeah.
It's don't put a kid in a dangerous situation like that.
I mean, I get it. I get what you're saying. You know, how did he get split off from his group anyway? Like, how did he end up all by himself? There was a lot of bad decisions
Yeah, like
going on
again,
there.
like if you're like with a group of people that does this thing, like you have mind that kid does not go anywhere alone. And the
Right.
only person who should be,
Right.
like, out in front and, like, maybe, like, interacting with folks is someone who is cool as a cucumber and who knows how to, like, de-escalate a situation. Because again, there are violent,
Absolutely.
angry people in there, and that is the type of person who attacked Kyle. He was a violent, angry man who tried to attack him. And then
Yeah.
this kid freaking out, who shouldn't have been in that situation in the first place, tried to defend himself. And again,
He didn't try, Kevin. He man,
yeah, you're right. He
he
did not try.
defended himself.
He killed someone and he killed 2 people.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then shot a third person, and that third person, the one that's kind of made like a big the headlines with like the prosecutors because they were the defense was asking them like, well, when did Mr. Rittenhouse shoot you? And basically is like after he had pulled the gun on him. But I kind of feel bad for that guy because the
Kinda
way
hard
he
to
saw it, right? Like he's not seeing the full situation. All he sees is that there's some dude with a rifle who just killed at least one person, you know, and at that point in time, he had already killed another person. And
Yeah.
so he's thinking he's the good guy with the gun who's going through to stop that situation. So he
Not
points his gun at Kyle to try to stop him because he thinks it's a mass shooting event. And
right.
then because he did that, Kyle, again, not, you
Boy,
know,
that's a good point there, what you're making, that in that kind of chaotic situation, it's going to be nearly impossible to tell good guys from bad guys, who's defending whom, what's defending what, and what is actually going on. So not since the O.J. Simpson trial have I seen such a feckless prosecution, though.
oh no, yeah, they're an absolute mess. And actually like that's something that I think is really important to talk about too with the prosecution because a lot of conservatives are like, "Oh my goodness." Like, well, first of all, they're messed with like they're just not proving the points very well. And they will probably get a mistrial. The judge has been like slamming the prosecution because they've been doing a bunch of like blatantly unconstitutional things, like inappropriate things, like being like, well, your silence after the incident is like proof of your guilt. Like, what? No, it's
Whoa,
literally you literally have a right to remain silent. Like that's
whoa,
you don't have to like speak out on your behalf. That's not admission of guilt. And then other things too that are ridiculous, like them being like, well, you playing Call of Duty is what like contributed to thinking you needed a rifle or something. Like, what? No,
what?
that's completely stupid, not based on
Oh my
evidence. Now,
God!
there's a bunch of stupid stuff like that, and I gotta be out. Like I'm frustrated with my conservative friends who are like, oh man, like this is such a biased case. Listen, this stuff happens all the
All the
time.
time.
All the time. This happens to be a high profile case where there's cameras on them the entire time.
Yeah.
But like this sort of like reckless indifference for civil liberties and constitutional rights in the courtroom is happening to people all over the country constantly.
I mean,
And it just doesn't get seen.
yeah, let's hand it down as libertarians say and realize and want to talk about these things. And a lot of times our conservative friends want to ignore them and sweep them under the rug. When children get put in jail for 3 strikes with marijuana or something like that, those kids got shaken down, they got intimidated, they get games run on them like this prosecution brought public, which hey, you know what? They did it. At least they're being honest out in public. Good for them. Now we all know what goes on to shake down a potential, you know, convicted for
Right.
conviction, right? They try pretty hard to get these convictions. They would much rather have someone agree to the terms of their agreement than try to convict them in court because they know that the court can go
Yeah.
sideways no matter what.
Well,
So they
and then
do a
what they
lot
do
of
is
these tactics
yeah.
behind closed doors.
Yeah, and then they'll try to do plea deals. They say, they intimidate people and they say, all right, like, and it's not ever, I know that they're prosecutors trying to do the right thing out there, blah, 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 caveat, but like There are a bunch of bad ones out there.
Sure.
Way too many bad ones out there, and there's no accountability for it. But a lot of times they'll happen behind closed doors. They'll like intimidate people, and they'll say like, hey, we think we can get you for X, Y, and Z, but hey, if you just plead guilty to like A, yeah, you'll be able to, wow, little misdemeanor, no big deal, whatever, but suddenly you have a criminal record, it creates a whole bunch of problems for you. Like, and that's how, like, and again, it's happened to people that I know and I love who think that they're like, well, man, they're really gonna nail me for this crime. Like, I don't know, I'm scared. What they're telling me, I'm gonna go to jail for 5 years. So if I just plead guilty to this little crime, then like, maybe that's better.
The dynamics of our court system, this win-lose duopolistic, uh, I it drives me crazy. It carries over into the adversarial system in family court, and basically that's the first threat, the first lie, the biggest threat, the biggest lie. That's what wins. The most scary bullying type person, that's what wins. And I think we see that all over society becoming a successful strategy more and more. And we're no longer philosophically debating things. We're lashing out with emotion and anger. And I don't know, man. I want it to stop.
No, I get it. And like in it's particularly criminal court systems, and neither of us being lawyers, but like criminal court systems, like everything's supposed to be based on facts, everything's supposed to be based on evidence, everything's supposed to be based on like a set of rules, the law that like we all agree to and can understand, right? But when the laws get so complex that like your layperson can't like understand what it is or what it means or what the potential consequences are, that becomes dangerous. And then the other thing is too is that when prosecutors do step out of line and they go beyond what is allowed in their position as like the advocate for the state, in trying to seek punishment or seek justice, however you want to spin it, against a person who is accused of a crime, then they need to be held accountable for that. And it can't just be a matter of like, oh, well, we got DA elections and we'll hold the DA accountable for something that their ADA did 3 years ago. It's not going to happen that way.
Right.
So like in situations where a prosecutor steps out of line, acts inappropriately, violates someone's constitutional rights, I'm glad
They
like
make
the
them
judge.
vice president.
You make him vice president. That's terrible, but absolutely true though. Yeah, no, Kamala Harris, she's one of them. She's the state attorney general, and then she was like what city was it? She was like a DA for a city too,
It was Los
or a
Angeles, I
county. Was
believe,
it
but
Los Angeles?
I could check that so that we go give the appropriate information.
Yeah, I know. But yeah, like again, in the stuff that Kamala Harris did too, like again, it trying to keep people in prison longer so that they could fight fires at like 10 cents an hour type of stuff. Disgusting. Like,
Yeah.
but that type of stuff again, it happens all the time. Most of the time, it's happening behind closed doors. So like, folks are seeing it in this trial, and feeling bad for Kyle in some way. Some people are feeling bad for Kyle. Again, my position is he's not a hero. This was dumb. He was dumb. His family was dumb. 2 people are dead. The people who attacked him were dumb. Like the whole situation is infuriating, and people got hurt because they got caught up in the moment. And
Yeah, so I guess in my heart, right? Like I want everybody to learn a lesson from this stuff. I honestly, that whole George Floyd, that summer of violence, the government creating this hot box of tinder, we're just waiting to be ignited.
yeah,
In a way, I'm very comfortable saying that that's what led to this incident anyway. This mess of government overreach with COVID, the George Floyd incident, and so here we go.
yeah,
This kid, no matter what, he's not going to be the same. I don't know if he's going to get convicted. I suspect that he's not.
yeah.
But we'll
But
see.
Tim, if we're gonna have to wrap it up though. We're already like 30 seconds over. Tim, we can't keep on time, man. All right, that's all right. So thanks again for joining us here on A Free Solution. We'll try not to make our producers too mad at us for this. All right, appreciate you being here. We'll be back in just a few minutes. Out music. All right. Yeah, I was looking at Tom. I was trying to give it a hand signal.
I wasn't looking at you. I was so looking in my brain, which is a horrible place for me to go.
We don't got Bob in our ear being like 2 minutes.
Yeah, I know. He's great.
It's all right. I mean, okay, so you can make the last point of that, and then maybe we talk about our third topic next.
Yeah. Do the iPencil thing, Joe Biden.
Heck yeah.
All right. You're gonna have to give me a little rundown on iPencil, I guess, because I am not directly familiar with it. But I'm pretty good at faking stuff, and it's probably similar to something I've read anyway.
You're giving away your secrets for social media. Fake
Oh,
it till you make. Oh man,
is this the bonus content? Is this going on?
this is the bonus content. Oh yeah, no,
Oh,
it's all. This is all going out, man.
Dang,
This is what the
man.
people pay for.
I have definitely read. So look, I'm going to seem pretty knowledgeable about iPencil. You guys know I'm kind of faking it a little bit. All right.
It's all right. So we got the shorter segment coming up, 10 minutes, and then Fake News Friday.
Yeah, man.
All right, so we'll go at 26.
Okay.
Back in. And I'll leave it a couple seconds after too. All right, welcome back to A Free Solution. I'm Kevin Wilson, your host for today. Thanks so much for joining us. We got me and Tim O'Connor right here. If you're listening on WYSL, appreciate y'all being here. WACK out in Newark, appreciate y'all being here. Or the social media channels, our Free Solution, the Facebook page, the Free Solution, the YouTube channel, the Kevin Wilson pages, the Tim O'Connor pages, wherever you're listening today, getting that sweet bonus content, learning the secrets of the show in between here.
So
Tim and I are being very lazy about editing. We're just like, oh man, we just want to make this as quick as possible. But so Tim, you were making a point though about the Kyle Rittenhouse stuff, the whole summer of Black Lives Matter, George Floyd, that type of stuff. Did you have anything else to add there?
Well, just and again, man, we get into these conversations. The Back to Blue, the Black Lives Matter, and I talked a little bit about that show, a little bit about that Tuesday when I subbed in for Larry, and how, and it plays into practically everything. The duopoly gives us A or B, and then for me, it's always C. I'm always like, where's C? What is option C? Kids, there's an option C. It could be either or. It doesn't. Kyle Rittenhouse is not a hero. Kyle Rittenhouse is not an evil person. Okay, this was a train wreck. This was a mess. And I'll be honest, I still blame the government for putting the wheels into motion for that summer of violence anyway. So there's C. It's always C, guys. I'm telling you.
Pick C. You know what Tim's multiple choice test looks like in high school, just like C.
They did too, and I'll tell you what, it paid off big, man. It literally paid off huge. The California Achievement Test was C. I scored in the top 2%. I'm not. Look, this is not advice for you. Okay, I'm just saying maybe that's how I played it.
Hey, if that works, that works. I mean, I feel like if I ever have an opportunity to write like a big multiple choice test, I would do that. I would just make every single answer C, just because like it's gonna drive some people. They're like, "There's no way this is right." No, there's no way this is right.
I think back then, and they probably corrected for it, but back then there was eventually they proved that there was a statistical bias toward using the letter C.
Yeah.
So I don't know why. So if you pick C, you would be right something like 65. You get like a 65, okay? Because the teachers always want you to read two, reject them, and get the right answer. So C was almost always the right answer. And it works really well. It worked really well for me.
No idea. All right. So speaking of things that you need pencils for. Hey, you like that segue there?
That was great. That was great.
All right. So Joe Biden had the speech the other day where he referenced, intentionally or not, a famous, I would call it like a like libertarian, like kind of short story about like how markets work, where he says, I'm just quoting Biden now, President Biden. He says, even products as simple as a pencil have to use wood from Brazil and graphite from India before it comes together at a factory in the United States to get a pencil. It sounds silly, but that's exactly how it happens. And part of it, again, what he or his speechwriters, whoever might have been referencing, is this iPencil story. And so what that is, if you haven't heard of iPencil, like, first of all, go look it up. You can find it free.
Hang on, I have heard about it. Check this out. The main theme is that no central planning is needed to make a pencil or any other object. The knowledge lies with more than one person, government, or company. The lesson I have to teach is this: leave all creative energies uninhibited. How did I do, Kevin?
Right on. No, that is like the main point. No one central plans how to make a pencil in a free market economy, but it does take thousands of people to make one, right? It takes someone to grow the wood. It does take someone to get the graphite. It takes someone to make the little metal bits around the eraser. It takes someone to get the eraser. Like who's going to go get the rubber over in, like South Asia to make those or whatever they're made out of nowadays, and who's going to ship them out to where they are? Who's going to get the workers to actually assemble the pencil in the plant? Who's going to get those to the stores and make sure that there is enough in the stores for the needs and demands of school children in the year 2021? No one central plans this stuff, but prices and like individual incentive and like the people who make all the products that go into those are somehow able to figure it out, and they're somehow able to make it work.
Do you think that Milton Friedman read iPencil? Because I remember reading some Milton Friedman when I was going to college, where he said, just picture the absurdity of having, and I believe it was Milton Friedman, a department of pencil distribution, okay, where the central planner decides who gets what pencil when, and every order for every pencil has to go through the central planner. Imagine the absurdity of that. There would be instantly there would be pencil shortages in Wantagh. There would be pencil surpluses in San Diego. I mean, it would never work effectively.
Yeah, and even in today's age where you have a ton of data available to you, like it is not possible, despite the hubris of politicians who think it is, to be able to centrally plan even something as simple as a pencil, much less more complex goods like housing or automobiles or whatever. Like pick your product, right? um no, politicians, they cannot know. It is not possible to know all the things that go into this in all the different areas when they try to implement regulations or supply controls or whatever, end up affecting this. So this brings us back to Joe Biden. Joe Biden, who runs smack dab into the point and then totally misses it. He says this thing with iPen. I mean, I know.
How could he get the point, though? Let's be honest. All right, let's be honest.
Maybe a speechwriter got the point, but his policymakers don't.
Okay,
Because I mean
that's
smart speechwriter sneaking something in. Who knows? But like, so he says this, but then he talks about all the ways in which like the government is going to like kind of regulate these supply chains and try to like make it so that like he and the bureaucrats that he has authority over can like make sure that we get all the stuff that we need from wherever, right?
like pencils.
What happened to that wood in Brazil? Like, well, okay, well, the thing is that like we started implementing a whole bunch of tariffs on imported wood. Because, well, it started with Donald Trump and now they're extended under
Yes.
Joe Biden, who wanted to make sure that that wood came from the United States. But like the suppliers are like, well, there are reasons why like we can't do that because there are regulations in the United States that make it difficult in some areas to get all the supply that we need. So like the government has made all these problems that caused us to go and like get wood from other places, which there are problems with that too. But the suppliers are adjusting on the fly to be able to get the stuff that they need to get the product. And Joe Biden, again, as smart as he may or may not be, even if he was the smartest person in the world, could not possibly understand all the stuff that goes into every good and service in the United States, nor could he hire enough bureaucrats to figure out all that stuff either.
I think he's willing to try, though. I think that the
they always are
willing to try. I mean, have I updated you on my vaccine, OSHA vaccine inspector kind of thing that I've been going through?
Oh goodness, you're not actually doing this. You're killing me, Tim.
Well, I mean, I got the application right. Like they're going forward with it, man. But one of the main requirements is that you're vaccinated, and I'm not willing to disclose my vaccine status. So I'm not in the front running right at the moment, but I may be able to find a workaround.
Oh, you get into the workplace like, well, you vaccinated, Mr. Vaccine? Well, no, but
Hey,
well, listen,
it's none of my business.
Yeah, you mind your business. No, but so
I'm
like,
exempt.
with,
I'm a government agent. I'm exempt.
again, while we still have like a minute left, just like
Yes.
the last point on this before we go on to like fake news Friday stuff is like politicians want to have that illusion of control. They want you to think that they could possibly like control the prices and make sure that like, oh, if Joe Biden just implements like a handful of policies and wags his finger at like, the boats out in California, that they're gonna like come in. No, they're not. That's not how it works. The supply chain is too complex, and it's government policy definitely impacts how all that stuff happens, but like it doesn't work by fiat. Like you can't just know all this stuff. You can't just command all this stuff, and to try to do so creates far more misery and poverty than allowing free markets to just do their thing.
You sound like a price gouger.
Price gouger. Well, you know me. Every
Yeah.
hurricane season, I'm down in Florida selling, $50 cases of water, $100 gallons of
See?
gasoline, and $3,000 generators. Like,
All right. That's how you do it, man. That's how you allocate goods and services.
All right. So we got to wrap up this segment, though. Thanks again for joining us here on A Free Solution. I'm Kevin Wilson, joined by Tim O'Connor, and we're going to be back with more in just a few minutes. All right. Hopefully I got that timing right.
Man, we're getting good at this. We should probably pre-record more often.
Yeah, it's not bad. It makes it easier since I'm like, using up hour and a half of my day. And
well, that's the thing, right? I like doing what I'm doing. Like, you obviously like doing what you're doing. I like doing the radio show. How do we make it all come together?
I love like, because I'm not cutting this out. I love you guys listening live too, though. Like, it's a lot of fun. Like, we get the comments, we get the calls. It's great. Like, this is fine. But like, the live stuff is a lot of fun. So
it is.
I don't want to give that up.
There is a different feel to it. That's for sure.
Yeah. And also, not that we've done that with this show, but like when I first started with this stuff, like when I would pre-record stuff, especially when I'm alone, but like when I pre-record stuff, I'd want to be like, all right, well, that wasn't a good take, so let me re-record that and I'll do a better take. And like when you're live, like you can't just be like, sorry guys, like ignore the last 30 seconds of that. Like you just gotta roll. Like, you
gotta make the best of it and hope they don't catch it, right? You're just like, oh man, first of all, I blundered, and second of all, like I'll hear the words I say wrong, like 20 seconds later, I'll be like, that, and so then it interrupts my train of thought, and I'm just like, whew, and how do I cover for that?
Yeah, we're like, I talked about like, the infrastructure bill. I was like, oh, I accidentally said 1.5 trillion instead of 1.2 trillion, and I was like, oh, it's already out there now. I can't take it back.
Oh man.
So that's the fun part of live radio, though, folks. Like you just got to roll, and you just got to keep talking, and you can't just go like, oh crap! All right, give me like 30 seconds to read my notes, guys. No, you gotta keep talking while you're reading notes.
Yeah. Hey, so Coffee and Freedom. I think I'm gonna do Coffee and Freedom Saturday at 8:30. Everybody can come join in. We go for about an hour. I had Diane Sayer on. I mean, I've had some really interesting guests. I have a couple potentials for this Saturday, so we'll see how. It's always last minute. Everybody makes this last minute decision. So join us then. I'm gonna get Kevin on there one of these times.
Oh yeah, sure. I am now up at that time because my boy is up.
Oh, get used to it.
Yeah, no, and also like I did my daylight savings time show Monday. Like, he no matter how many times I explained to him, listen, son, the government changed the clocks. It is not 6:30 in the morning. It's 5:30 in the morning. You need to go back to bed. He didn't listen to me.
He didn't buy it, man. He was still hungry, and that's it.
Yeah, he's just like, I'm hungry. I'm up. It's time to play.
Yep.
Come on,
let's go. So yeah, I hate daylight savings time. I'm still mad at the LPNY for not passing my resolution about daylight savings time. I'm still disappointed. I may still resign over that, even though I haven't brought it up in a year. But I don't care.
Oh man, yeah, no, we should ball shit. Are there stick to one or the other? Like I think I've gone on to the standard time side. Like let's just stick with standard time. But I would be fine with year-round daylight savings time too. Just let's not change it anymore. We'll get used to it either way.
That's it. Just stop changing it. The government taking something and giving something back that isn't theirs to give or take drives me crazy. And they do it to conserve resources so that Friedrich Wienerberger, one of the German warmongers, could conserve resources for war. It makes it even worse. Like people die from daylight savings time. You can check the stats yourself.
No,
Google it, man.
literally kills me. I posted an article that a former guest of the show had done. All right, we should probably get going next segment.
Yeah.
You want to start that 40?
Sure.
All right. All right, it's Fake News Friday. Welcome back to A Free Solution. I'm Kevin Wilson, your host for today, joined by Tim O'Connor on this lovely Fake News Friday. Of course, it's the time where we read off a couple of headlines and then we try to stop each other whether or not this is fake news or real news. And I know you had some, Tim. So, Tim,
I got an interesting one I guess we're going all virtual reality, right? Like we're gonna live in our computers and our video games, and I mean, it's been predicted by the movies for decades and books for decades. So I mean, I guess it's gonna happen. So this Oculus Quest is one of the latest, greatest virtual reality kind of deals, where you get in and play your video game in your brain while you're jumping around your living room.
mm-hmm.
Apparently, Kevin, that children were getting punched. So Oculus Quest released an update, helps you not punch your children. Would that be real news or fake news?
That's definitely fake news because you're still definitely gonna like punch people around you if they get too close.
You know, when you put it that
I stumped you now.
way.
That's
All right, let's go with the news is that Oculus Quest released an update and claims the update is going to help you not punch your children.
all right. How? Because that's
well,
my question. Because like, I mean, if you've never used one of those things, like they are fun. But like, yeah, if you're playing like a boxing game or you're playing like the game where like you're swinging and trying to like chop the boxes and whatnot, I forget what that one's called. Like if someone's in swinging range, they're gonna get hit. That's what it is, like unless like they use like because they use like the cameras to detect your movement too to contribute to like the movement on the screen where they'll like warn you, have like a proximity alarm or something. But I don't know.
Kotaku is saying that the Oculus Quest update will help you not punch your children. Now, I saw a response to it where some guy said that he punched a 65-inch big screen TV. Will it help with that? I apparently I don't know. Based on what you're saying,
There's a bunch of
may not.
videos like of you doing that again. Andrew Hollister, owner of Simple Tech Innovations, and like the founder of this show, like he has one of those. I played it at his house before. Yeah, you just like you get into it and like you're playing some games where like you're like a robot trying to go around the city, like get at a road, like killing all the robots or whatever, and like you're like trying to move around and whatnot, like. Yeah, if you get outside that short space, because you got to kind of move around some of these times, like it's real easy to like forget that you're close to the TV. Like in a party setting, people are like, "Hey, Kevin, move back, take 2 steps back," but like
about to clobber me.
exactly.
What about dogs? Will this Oculus? It doesn't say anything about this Oculus Quest update protecting dogs. And I have a lab that if I start jumping around my living room, she's gonna lose her mind, man.
Yeah,
She's
no,
gonna be right up on me, all in my grill. I definitely will karate chop her right through the head. I know it if I'm chopping blocks through the air or something.
no,
Feel awful,
same.
too.
So like my dog he's a 100-pound like black lab Great Dane mix, and like what's he like to do? Like if I'm in the living room moving around, he's gonna want to see what I'm doing. He's gonna want to lean up against me, and like if I'm in my living room doing this stuff, like he's gonna want to be involved and just.
So I just don't know. First of all, I'm not gonna be. I don't think I did. I used to play Fortnite. That was kind of fun. I don't see me going full virtual reality though, like chopping blocks in the air and stuff like that. I don't see it happening.
No, it's a lot of fun. Like I will probably get more into it when like my kid is old enough to play video games and like wants to do that and like well here's my excuse to like play around with this stuff. But
yeah, I'm gonna warn you. Okay, I'm older than you. I got kids. If you get them involved in playing video games, they're going to play video games without you. And then they won't want to do other things like go canoeing or fishing or rafting or mow the yard or clean up after their dog outside. They won't want to do any of it. They'll just want to play video games. I'm warning you right now.
Well, listen, like my parents listen to this show, and they will totally vouch that I was perfect and never did anything like that. I was just like totally great, wasn't ignoring my chores to play video games, and I'm sure my
I
son is
don't
going to be the
know.
same way.
All right.
I'm pretty sure I'm not at all distorting that memory. I was a little angel.
I don't believe you.
That's my fake news headline.
There you go. Kevin was nope. I'm
Nope,
calling fake
nope,
news.
not even close. All right. So I guess we can move on to another headline here. So was Big Bird vaccinated on PBS on Sesame Street?
Okay, so uh, all right, this is like probably I'm gonna go with this is real news that I want to be fake, I think.
Real news that you want to be fake.
Yeah.
All right. No, all right. That's totally fair. So, like there was an actual show, an episode of Sesame Street where like Big Bird like gets the COVID vaccine and he talks about it, whatever. The funny part about this though is like I saw like the NPR like headline and tweet about it is they had to put like vaccinated in like quotes because like it's of course a bird costume, didn't really get vaccinated, so it's sort of fake news, but like sort of real news. Like they really did do a segment talking about it, but like I just found like the headlines funny because they're like they all put like most of them put vaccinated in quotes because like they didn't actually like vaccinate a giant bird.
Yeah, right. Well,
because it plays a character on a show, right?
Yes, thank you for that clarity, NPR. You do such a wonderful job with clarifying everything. That's great. So I don't know what to say about Big Bird getting vaccinated. Okay, I get it. We vaccinate people for a lot of things. I'm not clear on the COVID vaccine. My kids got it. Okay,
Yeah,
I get it. They felt as though it would entitle them to freely participate in society again. Apparently, that's not the effing case, but okay, it's closer. All right, they still have to wear masks in school. Like, come on, man, knock it off. All right,
I know. Like, well, yeah, that's the whole thing that like is so frustrating about this. All right, so like again, if you're gonna be like it, because I'm generally pro vaccine, right? But and they work pretty well, right? And like that's supposed to be the deal, right? Like you get vaccinated, okay. Like if they're vaccinated, then like why are they still wearing masks in school? And you got like these insane rules in places like DC where it's like, yeah, if you're if you're vaccinated, like you still have to wear a mask in gyms, and gyms are like, well, what if we just say like everyone has to be vaccinated who comes in here, and then like you can go without a mask? Is that okay? And DC was like, no, like everyone still has to wear a mask. All the mayors still, all the politicians go out and like don't have masks on, whatever. And again, like masks are like fine. They like work okay in certain situations if you wear them right, but like they're really like not a great solution. They were like the best thing maybe at the time, and there's also other drawbacks that we're kind of seeing now. Okay, sure, but there's like this weird obsession with it now. It's like, all right, like you're kind of undermining your case for vaccines by still requiring masks for like every child who's still vaccinated in school, even like when they're outside in some cases. And it's like, have we learned nothing over the last year and a half? Like we can adapt. We've learned new things since then.
It's as if we gave them a power and they are reluctant to relinquish the power. So we gave them the power to make people wear masks. And for whatever reason, in spite of the data proving otherwise, in spite of the vaccine being moderately successful, in spite of that, they're reluctant to relinquish that power. Imagine that, a petty bureaucrat reluctant to relinquish power. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean it's hard not to feel that way sometimes. Again, and I'm on the like, yeah, vaccines are mostly pretty good side, but like also politicians are being ridiculous, and oh boy, do I have a story next week for folks about like how this is impacting my family. But I'm not going to talk about it yet. But yeah, that's it's interesting. We have learned nothing, and bureaucrats are dumb, and I'm angry at a bunch of stuff.
And we're gonna be punching kids with our virtual reality machines.
That's there you go. Whatever. I for one am excited for like Mark Zuckerberg's like created future, because Oculus, I think they're also owned by like Facebook too. Oculus Quest is.
Yeah, that sounds right. I know he's
yes.
doing something with the virtual reality stuff.
With Meta.
With
the
Meta.
metaverse.
So, did you have any more fake news?
No, do you have one?
Well,
It's your turn.
I do. I feel as though it's fake news, right?
Oh, you
But
feel
hold
so.
on.
All
So-
right.
It does go to CNN. Oh, wait, no, let's do the Gavin Newsom one. I heard
My goodness.
on the interwebs that Gavin Newsom is vaccine injured. Do you think that's true or not?
The people I heard it from on the interwebs were not super trustworthy people, so I'm gonna say it's fake, but I don't know.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna say it's real, but I don't know either.
We're
I'm
just
kidding.
throwing
I
out
really don't
fake
know.
headlines, so it's just, yeah, like because I haven't seen any like actual news story, and I don't know like if that means I know. Got to slow down, because I know some people are like, just because you didn't see it on the mainstream news doesn't mean that I know. I haven't
know.
seen it yet though, like from anyone other than like putting it in memes. Like that's the only place I've seen it so far.
One of the sources said sources close to Gavin Newsom are saying. So
sources close.
I read yes, sources close to him are saying.
Look, whenever you get those passive voice weasel words, sources say, like,
yeah,
okay,
efficacy. That's a weasel word, Kevin. Efficacy is a weasel word.
Yeah. Oh goodness, we don't go there. We are out of time from going there. So we got all of 30 seconds left. Again, thanks for joining us here on A Free Solution. Appreciate y'all being here. Happy Friday. Happy weekend. We'll talk to you next week.
Take care, everybody.